In the job, you can't do this. Go to your boss and say, I'm tired of making $30 an hour. I want to make $60,000 an hour. They're going to laugh at you and be like, we're not paying you that. We're paying you based on the value that you're providing to us, which is trading your time for money. But now when you communicate what it is that you're good at, you can be making $2,000 per person. And you don't have to do it one-on-one. You can do it in a group session. How much is your time worth when you're awake? In this video, I'm going to break down how much your time is really worth when you're awake. I'm going to explain how to really calculate the value of your time, how to increase the value of your time, and give you the 4 levels of value that you need to follow to move up the ladder. I want to start with how much people make and what it really looks like on an hourly basis. So let's say you work a job and you make about $60,000 a year. That's annual. The average person works about 2,000 hours. So 2,000 hours you work for the year. Okay? So when you divide the two of those, 60,000 by 2,000, 60,000 divided by 2,000, that gives you about $30 an hour. So when the job hired you, they said, hey, Joe Schmo, you're going to make $30 an hour. But really, what you should be doing is dividing 60,000 by the amount of hours in the year. And that's 8,000. So there's about 8,000 hours in the year. So if you take 60,000 and divide that by 8,000 hours, your time's worth $7.50 an hour. That's kind of pathetic if you ask me. You're using your time to scroll on Instagram, you're going on Netflix, you're doing the most. When I mean the most, you're doing nothing, like nothing of value, right? So you can say, how do I increase my value to go past this? How do I go up here past $30? Because $7.50, that ain't cut it. $30. What you need to do is increase your value of time. In order to increase the value of your time, you have to change the value that you're bringing to the market. Not the value you give to the market, but the value you bring. And there's 4 levels of value. So I'm going to walk you through those 4 levels of value. So with the 4 levels of value, think of it like steps. The higher you go, the more money you make. So at this stage, it's called implementation. That's where you're trading your time for money. This is where you're making your $60,000. The crappy part about this is if you want to increase your value, you can only increase it to a certain amount because you can only work a certain amount of hours in a day. So this level sucks. Let's cut that level out. We don't want to do this level anymore. So the next level is unification. This level is a bit better, but all you're doing here is you're managing other people's time. So now instead of just your effort, it's your effort plus other people's effort. So you make a bit more there. Let's say you make 6 figures, you hit like 150,000. 150,000 a year. You know what the crappy thing is about making 150,000 a year? With the way the world is going, $150,000 is like $60,000 like 10, 15 years ago. And some people can't even qualify for a mortgage even having this type of salary. Also, we didn't take into consideration 30% of this is going to the government. So of 150, you're making maybe 100,000. So that level is okay, but we can do better than that. And the next level is communication. And you can make a lot of money from here. In this category, you can make $1 million. So you can make millions. Now you're saying, how, Sway? How can I make millions from that? When you're using what God gave you, your voice, and you're selling stuff, you can make a bunch more money. You can do seminars, you can do coaching, you can do consultation. The possibilities are endless. Communication is where you want to be. Anything above unification, communication, and up, that's where you're going to start to really see money, and that's how you're going to increase the value of your time. And then the last, but definitely not the least, most important one here is imagination. And this one you can make billions with a B. I don't know why that sounds good when you say billions with a B. But imagination, anything that you create and there's a demand in the market for it, you're gonna get paid out billions. The easiest example to explain is Apple, iPhones. When Apple drops a product, everyone goes crazy. Not so much crazy now, but Apple created something out of thin air, the iPod, the iPad, the iPhone, all these things that they created. And guess what? They're getting paid billions from it. All these publicly traded companies, Tesla, he thought of it, he created it, now he makes billions from it. Amazon, he thought of a platform, created it, he makes billions from it. So you kind of get the gist of the idea that I'm trying to paint here, right? So this is the levels that you want to go. You're here and you want to at least get to here or here, depending on which one tickles your fancy. I like communication. I'm still trying to work on imagination. But when I hit that imagination button and it pops out, no, I'm going to be making billions. So the next thing is, how do you increase the value of your time? You got to stop trading your time for money, and you got to start increasing your value. And how you do that is communication. And how you do that is you start a business. You start a business that you can provide value to other people, like consultation, for example. So let's look at it like this. $7.50. Remember that, okay? So $7.50. This is what your time is worth when you're awake throughout the whole year, okay? So that's how much you make per hour. Kind of sucks, right? Now, you're working a job, you work 8 hours, you got to come home, do this, do that, and then you have a little bit of time for yourself. That little bit of time for yourself, let's say it's 4 hours. That's it, just 4 hours, okay? So 4 hours of free time that you have. 4 hours. So 4 times that, that's 30 bucks, okay? So that times that equals $30. $30 is 4 hours, okay? So now let's say you take that 4 hours and you create something, whether it's a problem that you have solved for yourself and you can solve for others, a skill that you have from your job that you can put out to the market that people will pay you for, or something that you're passionate about. But let's stick with problem. Let's say you're a mom and you have skills with newborn babies, and you notice that there's a lot of new moms out there that are struggling to take care of their newborns, and they need some advice, like they're either colicky or they're not sleeping at night. I don't know, whatever it may be. But let's say you have that experience with kids and getting them to sleep, and you put that into the marketplace. Hey, calling on new moms. Are you struggling to get your baby to sleep? Are you struggling with this, that, the fourth, blah, blah, blah? I have a solution for you. Da 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 da. For that, it costs $2,000 to join my program. So $2,000 is what you put out there. You tell them it costs $2,000 for your program, and your program runs about 6 weeks. And of those 6 weeks, 2 calls per week. 12 calls in total for 2,000 bucks. You search for 4 hours to find someone to pay you this. Now, because they're paying you $2,000 and you're only doing 12 calls, of that, the 2,000 divided by 12, that comes out to $167 per hour. $167 per hour. I didn't even do that right, but you get my gist. $167. Where here, your hours were only worth $7.50. Now imagine you use that 4 hours every day just to find a few people. Let's say you got 5 people to pay you $2,000 and you did it as a group session. So 5 people paying you $2,000, that comes up to $10,000. $10,000. You're only using 2 hours each week. So imagine taking 2 hours from here, putting it over here just to teach people. $833 that you're making based off of this. Man, that's blowing my mind right now. 167 times 5. Yeah. So if you went out there searching, say, just for 5 people, 5 moms with newborn babies, you call them out and say, hey, I have the 6-week program to help you get on track with your newborn, $2,000. And because you're doing it as a group session, you're only using 12 total hours, but 2 hours each week. 2 hours. So if you took 2 hours from here, you go from $7.50 to a whopping $833. 830. Let's do the math on that. Let's see what that growth. That's an 11,000% gain. 1,000%. Are you seeing this right now? You go from $7.50 to $833. That is how you increase the value of your time. And the more in demand people want your service, guess what? Your price goes up. Now, if there's a demand for you, you automate this process and now you sell it as a course. And because you sell it as a course, guess what you get to do? Sleep and make money. Every day becomes a Saturday because you created a system for yourself. a business system. In the job, you can't do this. Go to your boss and say, I'm tired of making $30 an hour. I want to make $60,000 an hour. They're going to laugh at you and be like, we're not paying you that. We're paying you based on the value that you're providing to us, which is trading your time for money. But now when you communicate what it is that you're good at, you can be making $2,000 per person. And you don't have to do it one-on-one. You can do it in a group session. Look at this. 6 weeks, you made $10,000. There's 52 weeks in the year. So let's see how many times you could do that in the year. So 52 divided by 6 is 8. 8 and a bit. But we'll just go with 8. So let me write right here. So 52 divided by 6, you get 8. That's 8 times you could be running this program. So 8 times running this program, watch this right here, with 5 people, that's $80,000. That's 10,000 times 8, comes out to be $80,000. $80,000, but remember, the average person makes 60. You're making $20,000 more from doing this than doing your job that you have to work at least a minimum 35 to 40 hours, not including your travel time, and also the government takes a bite out of your salary. Now you're maybe saying, well, if I'm making more money, the government's going to take more money because I'm making more money. No, because you got a business, guess what? When you have a business, you get taxed after your expenses, not before. When you're working at a job, you get taxed before you get your money, not after. So when you got that business, guess what? Any expenses you have for this, you now can write it off, and that reduces your income. So you still make the 80. So let's say you decide to buy a vehicle. That vehicle now becomes a write-off, and that reduces the amount of money that you have to pay in taxes. Now, if this is something that interests you, you can click the link down below to join the Wealth Builders Academy, and you can try it out for 7 days for free. Yes, I said for free. And then you can book a call on how we can implement this strategy for you. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.